Yeah, I just want to put out for a record, like, what what some of the things I've seen, some of the paranormal stuff I've seen. Like these are two different encounters with paranormal, demonic, crazy shit. I don't know how to put it. One was it was in public with a whole bunch of people. Lots of people were there, and it was this old guy with long hair. He was dressed really strangely. He was completely dirt. His clothes was like as if he slept out in the rain and sat there for like months or worse or longer in some dirty like stagnant water. And he had it was like a gold puffy jacket, okay, but it was all like water stained, okay, and not just like a little bit. It was like different layers of water staining going on. Not like a one time got wet thing. It's like it was pretty bad. And he had a black little mini skirt, like a really gross, old man with a little black mini skirt, not like right looking. And he had like a little punk belt, and he had a puffy hat, like a little baseball cap, but it was gold and puffy. His jacket was puffy. He had these heart sunglasses, and he had this black stuff coming out of his ears, and he had like veins coming out of that. And it was like this. It was like a gritty, dusty, thick stuff. It was like thick, like gritty, pitch black, and like on top of him, like coated, and like veins coming like out of his temples, and it's all on his legs, all on his arms. Gross. He had long, dirty fingernails, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. He was trying to get into this. It was like a old bathroom in the cafe, but they closed the wall, so it's like the door doesn't open anymore. They sealed it because they didn't want people using it all the time. This is at a supermarket, and he's like feeling for the door, like he can't really see. And then he was walking around. I'm like, oh shoot, he's coming towards me. He was like walking around the wall, around the perimeter, and he's coming right to me where I'm sitting. I'm trying to eat, and this guy's like disgusting, and it was like scary because he looks like diseased. He's like really, like, and I'm like, do you need help? As I said, I figured he's looking for the bathroom. And he goes, yeah, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing in here? You're completely, like, I don't know what to say. Like, what's the explanation that he's in here? I want to know. I want him to explain to me something. And he didn't really say anything. And people looked at me like, wow, how did you say that to him? I'm like, we'll take a look. This is not normal. And I wanted to snap a picture, but he was so creepy where I was like afraid to have that image on my phone for like demonic reasons. I have a little experience with taking pictures of like sigils and having like weird stuff happen. So I'm like, I was being a little bit wary. That's how creepy it was. It was completely like, I think he came out of the cemetery. I really do. I think he had like high top shoes too. They were all dirty. His socks were dirty. Yeah, it was gross. It was really, really gross. But I think he came out of the cemetery because we had like 3 weeks of rain, and it's like flooding rainwaters. And I think he had a little spot in the cemetery that got flooded, and he came out of it. That's what I think. I really can't say, what. I don't know, but I know it sounds like a really far-fetched, but I've seen plenty of far-fetched things. There's so many different stories. Like, I probably forget half of, the things I've experienced. That's how many things I've experienced. But another one that I saw was, and I was having a lot of demonic, attacks, different people, different little things, all kinds of, like, little odds and things. But there's this guy, like, running down the street, and it looked like one guy running down the street, and then it like turned into two guys. And, like, I'm watching it, and it looked like kind of like if you think like mercury, how it like pulls apart. It's like kind of like sticky, and it's like that's what it looked like. It looked like one guy, and he kind of like split like a blob splitting apart, and then into two people, and two different people. And I was like, dude, what the fuck am I looking at? And there was other little subtle weird things about it, but I'm like trying to figure like, what did I just see? Because I'm like sitting there I'm looking at the lights. I'm like, there's no way that could have been two people initially. It was definitely one person. And it split into two people while I was looking at it. And I'm like, I've seen and here's one more example of something similar to that. There was this little hillock where I'd sit and I'd drink some beers. And it's like an old train tracks that's, bygone. It's not there anymore. But I would sit there with different people. Sometimes I'm hanging out with somebody, and but I'd see like a little, like, it's happening like a bunch of different times, at least 3 times. There's the little shadow, and it's moving, and it moves, and it moves, and it moves, and it goes back the same way it came, like in a little sequence. And I'm like, what is that? Is it, like, I think it's like an animal creeping up, like a little sneaky cat or something, or is it like a plastic bag blowing in the wind? And I've seen it a few times, and then one time I went to investigate it, it was a cat. And another time I went to investigate it, it was definitely a bag. And it was both, things were definitely, it was definitely a bag, and the other time it was definitely a cat. I'm like, that was the same sequence of events. And when I went into one time, it was a cat. It was a cat. And I was like, wow, that's surprising. And this time, I don't remember like which one happened first. And another time I went up to it because I'm like, it's the same thing again? The same thing? How could that happen? Even if it's a bag or a cat, you wouldn't expect to see it again in the same way. And I went to look at it again, and the other time that I looked at it, it was, whatever it was. Alternatively, it was a bag. I was there with another guy, and I see it again, and I go, oh shit, I've seen this before. I go, what do you think that is? What is that? Is that a little bag floating around, or is it a little cat? We really couldn't tell. He couldn't tell either. He's like, well, it might be either or. I'm not even sure, It could be a bag like lightly like flipping in the wind, or it could be something else. And I go to, dude, I've seen this before. It was like, one time it was a cat, and one time it was a bag. It was freaking weird. I told him that, and I'm starting walking towards it. He's behind me, sitting where we're at, and I'm like, it's a bag. Okay, that's what I say. And I thought it was. I'm like maybe 10 feet from it, and then right after I said that, he stopped looking, and then it turned into a cat, and it jumped, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, like, that's the level of like anomalous activity about that. It's something not in a physical state. It's something in the conscious state. It's a conscious energy that's being, observed by me and this other guy. But this is and that guy was not a good person. I'll tell you that. That guy was some kind of creepy ass weirdo. He really was. I didn't know him at first, but then it was like he was like he goes in the bushes, and he's like he was like molesting himself. I was like, oh, dude, this guy's fucking freako weirdo. Yeah, so these are just like demonic stuff. That's a bad story, but there's like, here's another example of another demonic character. He was like an alcoholic, and I'd see him, and we got to talking sometime, and I was like, oh man, I feel bad for the guy, because he's like always he's like sleeping on the streets, and he's telling me a little bit about what's going on. He's like all down out of luck, he's depressed, and things aren't working out. He used to be doing okay, but he's not doing okay right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we talk and hang out a little bit. He was a pretty intelligent, articulate person, and I was trying to like get him out of his depression, and maybe get him to try to pull his life together. But the guy was not actually a normal person. He was some kind of demonic, something off with the guy. For one, he didn't recognize where we were when we were just like a block away. He didn't recognize where we were when we were just like 2 blocks away on another occasion. So he didn't have any, like, not because he was like bomb drunk. That's not the case. And so he didn't have a, geography of the area, but he's been here for several years, he said. He said 7 years, yeah, 7 years. And even like, right where he was staying, like he knew like some there's a shoe shop, like a shoe repair guy, and he was staying with him. Actually, that guy had an apartment. It's an older guy, and he was just staying in his basement. Okay, and he'd known him for like a while, for months or a year or something. He'd known him for a while. But then we were going over there once, and there was this old car. And he goes, "Wow, what's this? Wow, what's that?" It's like an old, 1920s Model T or something, or not a Model T. It's a little after that. But if it was right next to the shop, he would have seen it. He would have known about it. He could have been lying about it, but But it's because it's been, I know that thing's been there for months and months, and it was literally right next to the shop where he's been staying with. So that's he ought to have known it. But it's something dishonest and not correct about what this guy is. I'll tell you this: one situation with that guy, he started dancing. I brought him to this little garden I had. I had this little. There's this little empty lot place that I cleaned up, and I put a garden there. So I brought him over to there, and I'm going to drink a couple beers over here. And he started doing this little dance, but he's like, "Yo, what's going on? What's going on?" And he couldn't. He's like, "Yo, I can't stop. I don't know what's going on, dude. I can't stop. What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared." And he's doing this little dance. It went on for like almost half an hour, like 25 minutes, more than 20 minutes. It was like 25 minutes, and he was doing this little dance. Oddly enough, like 2 weeks later, someone else that I was talking to, I brought him over there, or he was over there with a friend of his, and I saw him, and that's the first time I actually ever met him, and we were hanging out and for a bit. And he did the same thing. He started dancing. It's like the same exact scenario. He's like, "Well, I don't know what's going on, dude. I'm scared. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm scared. And it's like a gag that would be kind of difficult to do for 25 minutes. You got to think about it. Like it's almost 25 minutes, a long time to do a gag. And it's like, who is this guy? They don't know each other. They definitely didn't know each other. And so that's a strange, or they didn't know each other in their apparent persons, because this guy was like. He wasn't a bum. He was a friend of someone I had known, and he has an apartment and whatnot. And he's probably not. He never met that guy. I guarantee he's not the kind of guy that would meet the other kind of guy. But so those are like demonic, strange, occurrences. But the world's definitely synthetic. I have like other stories. I know there's a story like. Moses went like 160 days without sleep or without eating and without sleep. I went like 40 days without eating and without sleep, and I entered the spirit world. And this is like New York City, and there's nobody around. So this is strange, you know what I'm saying? And there was like this like metal park bench, and I grabbed it with my left hand, and I broke it off. It was bolted to the ground. I broke it off the ground. I'm like, what? And then I went to grab it with my right hand, and it was too heavy, Even though I broke it off the ground on half of it, it was just weight. It was like, it's a heavy, iron bench, and I wasn't going to pick up easily. I'd have to, give it a, better leverage. I couldn't just pick it up easily. But I'm like, what? And I grab it with my left hand again, and I break it off the other side with these bolts, and it was like light as a feather. I'm like, dude, this is... And it wasn't heavy on my legs. It was just light with my left hand for some reason. And it was in the middle of the day. And I was like, shit, I just fucking broke this thing. I don't want to get in trouble because this is expensive. I just fucking wrecked it. And probably still broken to this day. It was broken ever since. It was just really happened. And it was just like, it's heavy. It's not something that's light. And it was just, that's a paranormal, we're in a synthetic world. And there's, movers and shakers and all kinds of strange stuff.